Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this podcast, I'm talking to Sneha Surti about soft skills.
Hi, Sneha. Thank you so much for accepting my invite to appear in this podcast. How are you doing today?
Hello, Mr. Venkat. I'm doing fantastic as always. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Could you please go ahead and tell a bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, what you do, etc.?
I'm Sneha Surti. Hello, everybody. I am born and raised in Bombay slash Mumbai. Currently, I live in Goa. Past 5 years, I've been living here. Well, I would like to say that my life didn't just shape me, it kind of refined me. I started out as a science graduate in IT from Mumbai. Then, my dream took flight at the age of 18. Well, quite literally, when I spent around 12 incredible years traveling the world as a flight attendant. Post which, there were a lot of ups and downs. After 2020, I finished my master's in sociology and I'm still doing a lot of certifications which kind of help me grow in my career. Work wise, I am a certified soft skills trainer and I work across India with corporates and colleges. Truthfully, I train to make a mark and aim to leave behind some light. I look at it as working for purpose over profit. Yes, that's about me, Mr. Venkat.
That's fantastic. So I have a whole bunch of questions coming up in my mind to ask. Let me tackle them one by one. First of all, when you said your career didn't shape up as you expected, could you share a bit of detail about what you were expecting out of your career and how it turned out to be? If you have not explained that already, maybe some detail more on that.
Sure. So to start with, this comes like with certain traditions that are followed in my family. I have a younger brother and an older sister, and this has been like a tradition where after 10th, we are supposed to take science. And after taking up science, so the whole trick was, after taking science, if you don't like it, you can probably switch to commerce or arts. But if you take arts or commerce, then if you want to decide to take science later, you will not be able to do it. So this was like a mind brainwashing technique manipulation that was used for us to take up science. I really, from the time I cleared my school, I knew that I did not have a science brain and I wanted to take up arts, but that did not work out. So anyway, I took up science and I didn't really score well. So in those days, graduation in IT and graduation in computer science was quite new. Like I used to just sit on the computer and, play games. I'm talking about 2001, 2 maybe. So, in those times, computers were like pretty exciting. And, I used to just sit and play games and sit on the computer playing those games like Prince of Persia and Mario Brothers and all those games. So my parents thought that, she's interested in computers. That's how they again, brainwashed me to get into IT. And I thought, wow, let me just try it because then I'll get to learn, how to make these games and things like that. So it sounded pretty exciting. And like a fool, I fell for it and I took up IT. My heart broke when programming languages came. And I was like, oh my God, this is not what I expected it to be. I somehow managed to clear first year, but when it was second year, I'm like, oh my God. So C and C++ was done. Now in the second year, there was Java. And in those days, I don't think there was Python. So I was, like not so confident about it. I was bored doing it because it wasn't what I expected it to be. And somehow this interview happened and it just came up for an airline. And not that I ever wanted to become a flight attendant, but it just came my way and I went for it and I got through in the first attempt. And I did not even finish my third year. I just started working at the age of 18 after my second year. Yeah, after that, there was no looking back. I had like the best time of my life flying. While flying, I finished my third year, and that also happened like after 4 or 5 years of, wisdom hitting. Because in the first few years, you're so excited traveling all over the world, you don't think about studying. In fact, when I started working, I was like, there's no way I need to study. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But yeah, after a few years, I realized that it's just 1 year left and let me just get done with it. So I did that. So that's how, it happened. And over a period of time, then I thought that now let me just do what I wanted to do. And then I did my master's in sociology after some time.
I mean, you had the freedom to choose whatever you wanted to, which many of us don't.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we are, many of us are forced to take whatever whatever is offered to us, but you have the, I would say, luxury of pursuing what you wanted to do, which is great. Now let's come to the soft skills part. I'm pretty interested in that. And let's talk about it. What kind of soft skills do you train people with?
I have like a lot of soft skills, like a list of soft skills, but soft skills is technically people skills. These are the things that we don't really get to learn in college. There are like a lot of them. However, I can tell you what my expertise lies in. I am more to do with, etiquette. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Then there is this new certification that I did, which is called POSH. POSH is prevention of sexual harassment, which is something that is done in all the companies once in a year. Is something that they do. A lot of things revolving around your personal development. So basically, it comes around as everything that is not technical, like something to do with human skills. That is what soft skills is all about.
You know how to remove the bias from all these fields and how to make it equitable in all the
Right.
careers, etc. What are your thoughts and experiences on DEI and POSH, if you don't mind sharing?
DEI is something I'm very close to inclusion from DEI because being inclusive is something that has not been followed in our country for the longest time. However, now DEI has become such a buzzword because, finally MNCs have come into the picture and they've realized that this is something that is required in our culture. When it comes to inclusion, there are a lot of controversial topics such as getting LGBTQ community involved when it comes to working, getting people with disabilities involved and giving them certain roles and responsibilities that they can take care of. A lot of roles where women are not given priority when the roles would usually demand a lot of physical activity, such as sales. So, these are certain categories that I have trained a lot on in inclusion. About POSH, it is I don't believe in. I'm not a feminist, Mr. Venkat. So I think everything is like I believe in equality. So everything when it comes to POSH, the sexual harassment part comes in both the genders. So that is how I look at it, and that is how we train. Certain acts of POSH, how we need to look at certain scenarios, the case studies, and all that we do. It's like an on-job training where we are taking live experiences from people. They want to know about this is something that has happened with me. How do I deal with it? A lot of life experiences that people share when it comes to these two trainings. So yes, that is about DEA and POSH, and yeah, this is how we deal with it. It depends on a lot of scenarios, and a lot of things depend on the client profile, like what sector are they from, if it's a BFSI sector, if it is if FMCG, if it is a college, or if it is hospitality. There is a lot of variation when it comes to the audience. So that's how it is.
Wonderful. So it's quite interesting that you mentioned that you are not a feminist. And in one of the podcasts, the other guest said that I have a definition for the feminist. And I asked her what it is. And she said, feminism is not about the gender female, but it is about supporting the underdogs or the people who are, minority or who don't have support and who needs support at any point of time. Is there
My
anything
pleasure.
else you would like to add in terms of your job or work profile or your profession before we move on to other topics?
So currently, Mr. Venkat, I am doing a lot of freelancing work because of a certain health condition that I faced. I was a complete workaholic, and for like 12, 13 years, I was on my toes, working sincerely, very hard working person. However, something happened with my health and I got a stroke in 2020. So that is another reason why I live in Goa. It was, I was going through, while I was soaring through the skies, life through its share of turbulence. And I went through like a bumpy divorce from someone who had a personality disorder. While that happened, I got a stroke. So it was pretty stressful, and that completely flipped my life upside down. So years went in and out of hospitals in those days. And of course, I chose to rise. Just a month after I was discharged in 2020, I was back on my feet training again. To be honest, Mr. Venkat, giving up was never an option for me. Even as a child, I never really was that kind of a person who would give up. I wasn't a quitter ever. So that is the reason why I got to become a freelancer. Of course, after that also I started working in Goa. But the job that I got in Goa was very less hectic, as compared to how you work in metros. It's completely different over here. And again, I started working in 2020 when lockdown had hit. So things was moving slow anyway. So I had a very nice relaxed job, and that's the time I had a lot of things and a lot of time at hand where I could, study other things. And that's the time I did my 2 years of the soft skill certification. And I thought, might as well do all these things since there's so much time on hand. Yeah, I just polished some skills that I already had. I was already a trainer. However, I thought that let me just move a little more into soft skills because, that word certified was very important to a lot of profiles where I was applying. Even though I had experience as a trainer of 4 years, it wasn't good enough. They wanted certified trainers, and that's the reason why I took up this certification and I did it with all my heart and soul. And yeah, that's the reason I'm freelancing right now on my health's terms. And I do work across India with corporates and colleges, training to make a mark. And my aim is, to leave something behind. It's not just about profits.
You said that you never give up right from your childhood. I would like to know
Yes.
your secret of not giving up. What makes you not give up?
So I think I think it's genetic. My parents have been, they are retired, hardworking people, and who gave my siblings and me everything and more that we could ever ask for. So this attitude, I think, comes from my father. He does not come from a very affluent family. He started from scratch, and, he's built like everything that we have now. My younger brother is a doctor. My sister is working and living in Canada. Like whatever we have is all because of my parents. And this never give up attitude actually got more polished because I was a sports person. So when you're an athlete, you don't win all the time. And I always had my dad by my side, and he always told me, encouraged me, even when I lost. As a kid, I would, tear up. If I would lose a tournament, I would just feel sad that why would it have to happen with me? And that's when he said, don't ask why me, ask what now. So this is something that he instilled in me, and I think that's the reason why I got this attitude of not giving up. But even if I would lose, Mr. Venkat, I would not ask this question, why me? I started practicing this question, what now? So when you say what now, you kind of start polishing your skills even more because maybe you did not work hard enough, and that's the reason why you lost. So this is how I started looking at life. And even today, when I train, I tell people that, everyone's not going through, for example, say for engineering students, I would tell them that, in your placements, not everyone's going to get through that company who's coming tomorrow. There's always another door that's open. So if you live and look at life in that way, that this did not happen because something else is supposed to happen to me, you will never be unhappy. So it's like you're never really expecting anything, and you'll always keep this attitude of, something else better is coming. So that's how I don't really ever give up.
Wow, okay. In addition, do you have any kind of discipline on a daily basis? Why don't you tell us a bit about your routine and what kind of things you never give up on a daily basis?
Yes, so this is one of my strengths, Mr. Venkat, and this is something that again happened because I was brought up in a certain way. I did not really, as a kid, I used to, obviously in those days we had that alarm clock. We did not have an option of snoozing the alarm like how people do right now. So, my mother used to work, my dad used to work, I used to sleep with my sister, and we had to wake up. We had to iron our own school uniform before going to sleep. This was a habit that was followed throughout my childhood, that before you go to sleep, you keep everything ready. So if you don't wake up on time tomorrow, you will not have to worry about, oh my God, do I have to take this? Am I supposed to pack this? My tiffin, my water bottle, my uniform, my books, everything needs to be packed. And that is something that I follow till date. I do not leave anything for tomorrow or anything for later. So this has actually made me so punctual in life, Mr. Venkat, that even today I get restless if I have to reach somewhere and I am late. By late, for me, late is being on time, and being on time is being a little early. So this is something that I've been practicing, and this is something that we have been taught. So that's how it is.
I figured that when you said you were on time by being early, I figured that out because you logged into the call 10 minutes before
Yes,
time.
always. That's me for you.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So we talked a bit about your work, what you do, etc. Now let's talk about your hobbies and interests. What do you do for fun?
Oh my God. So Mr. Venkat, I have this other side of me, which is like a complete animal fanatic. I'm very, very fond of animals, which includes all sorts of animals. Because I live in Goa, I'm sure you know what kind of animals there are here. Of course, I have pets, like you heard my cat, and I have 3 dogs. I'm so fond of them that I have animals outside, the community animals who I feed. Then there are some community dogs in Bombay who I take care of while I'm sitting here. And I work from Bombay, so I'm always traveling to Bombay and other places. That is a side of me. And I also, when I moved here, I used to rescue animals. So that is another side of me. Apart from being an animal psycho, I love watching movies. I love watching crime, detective series, and all those mystery psychological thrillers. So yeah, that is the other side of me. I'm also a foodie. So yeah,
Wow.
that's something else apart from what LinkedIn doesn't say.
Okay, that's the objective of this podcast, to bring out the things that LinkedIn doesn't say. You already mentioned about a societal issue that you care about, which is caring about the animals. Other than that, do you have anything else in mind that you want to do in life? You already said that you want to make a mark in your own way, but is there something that's bothering you in the society that you want to address, even in a small way? Or do you have any plans to start off something apart from your company, or do something like taking part in a social enterprise or a NGO or something like that?
Yes, I already train at certain NGOs where I have done trainings for these children. They are not underprivileged, but they are children from this part of society where they are not really exposed to education. So yeah, there's a lot that you learn from these people. This is a side that I really want to explore. I also wanted to explore LGBTQ training, which I had signed up for in Bangalore last month. However, for some reasons it did not happen, for some other personal reasons. But these are two categories that I really want to focus on and put some light on, because I think that just because you don't have the money, you should not be deprived of basic education. So yeah, that is something that I look at. And I know a lot of people are already doing things in this category. Also, another thing, thinking or outlook about people, going through divorce, people who have certain personality disorders and they don't show it, or families tend to hide it from the world if their children are going through certain issues. And also how society looks at therapy or counseling. For example, if I would mention therapy or counseling to my parents who are from boomers generation, for them it's completely different because they come with that rigid mindset, right? I'm a millennial, so we have like a little flexible mindset where we are open to try new things. However, it's very difficult to convey this to our parents, because for them, anybody who goes through a therapist is someone who has a mental disorder. But that is not how we look at therapy now. It really helps a lot of people to, deal with normal daily issues where, for example, stress is something that, you can talk about. If it comes to, like, you can take therapy for stress if you're going through stress. So yeah, that is something that I think needs to be addressed in our society. Parents hiding these things instead of helping the child. For example, if my child had a personality disorder, I would take my child to the doctor instead of hiding it from the world. These are certain things that a lot of families still do. This is something that we need to address, because it's time that we look at things medically and not superstitiously, because these are important things, that could affect others, not just your child. So yeah, this is another thing that I would like to work on. In fact, I wanted to I just cleared my UGC net exam, and I can do PhD. So I'm actually looking for a topic on, what I should be taking up to do PhD on. Let's hope it happens. It's just like in the pipeline, but I'm not too sure. Maybe after a couple of years, I will think of doing it. So yes, that's about it, Mr. Venkat.
Wonderful. All the best for your PhD. When you mentioned about superstition, it's more than the superstition. It's about the stigma about what other
Right.
people think about me. So I should be looking good in all their eyes and all that. That's the most dangerous thing in our society. Thanks for sharing that. Now I want to know something special from you. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
about Goa from your eyes. We have all seen
Um,
Goa, we have picnicked and all that. But tell me how Goa feels for you from your own eyes and experiences.
the Goa I knew until I moved here was the same as everyone else. However, when I moved here, I live in the south part of Goa where there are not too many tourists, thankfully. It's the most beautiful place in the whole world. When I tell people that I'm from Goa, they go like, wow, and this and that. It's not that wow part where people go crazy. This is a very nice quaint location where my house faces this paddy fields, and every morning I sit here and look at those fields. I'm having a nice cup of tea and I look at these beautiful different species of birds that I may have never seen in my entire life. And Mr. Venkat, I grew up as such a Bombay girl that I had never imagined or never even thought of moving out of Bombay. But just see how life turns out, like it just had to happen. And when I moved to Goa, I'm just thinking, why did I not do this before? Like, it was the best decision I ever took, and my health made me take it. It's beautiful. Beautiful is an underestimated statement for it. Like, I remember seeing those plankton bioluminescent waves here one time. I had never thought in my life that I would ever get to see bioluminescent waves in Goa, out of all the places. And it's not just once, it has happened twice. So, yeah, it's the most gorgeous place ever. I hope a lot of tourists don't get attracted to this and come over here. I like it the way it is. But yeah, Goa has another charm. It's not the usual Goa that people go to. This is another side of Goa that's gorgeous and I love it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Maybe I'll attract some tourists, which I don't want. So let's just keep it to this.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. I think we
My
are
pleasure.
coming towards the end of the podcast. Do you have any
Okay.
questions for me?
No, you tell me about yourself, Mr. Venkat, because this is the first time I'm talking to you. So I would like to know. The only thing I know is you're a technologist. That's all I know.
Okay, so yeah, I am from technical background. Right now, the focus is on artificial intelligence and how it can help the human beings. My background is from software quality, which is about making sure that
Okay.
things are happening as it is supposed to happen, right? Software should work as it
Right.
should work. How to make privacy, security, and safety as part of this effort, and also how to make sure that regulation and compliance are also
Right.
maintained, and data quality and data integrity is also maintained. There are so many things that needs to be taken care of, so it's a quite an exciting field. So that's tech side. My artistic side, I am an author. You might have seen in the LinkedIn that I have written a book.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
collection of short stories, 14 short stories written for youth. You should take a look at it.
I would love to.
Please. And it's available in Amazon as well as Kindle Unlimited. I'm also a poet. I regularly recite poems in the local poets of Bangalore as well as other meetups wherever there are opportunities to recite poems. I'm a
Right.
storyteller too. And I am part of the Bangalore Storytelling Society, and they conduct monthly meetups as well as I tell stories in other avenues wherever it is possible. I'm also a corporate storyteller, by the way. For example, take software, right? Software quality.
Mm-hmm.
Many people don't care about software quality. Oh, no, we will solve this when there is a problem. And it goes to
Yes.
production, and millions of computers go down, airlines go down, and hospitals shut down because of a computer glitch. And then you realize that, oh, we could have addressed this problem before it got into the field. Being in the aviation, you can very well appreciate, you make all the checks before the flight takes off, right?
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
do that in mid-air. To bring software quality into the company's purview, it's important to make the team understand why it is important. And also the CXOs need to understand why quality is
Mm.
important, because many times, they
True.
put it in the back burner and they don't have the priority for that. So both ways. Storytelling is a very powerful way to do that. That's what I do. Yeah.
So how do you get the time to do these podcasts, Mr. Venkat, if I may know?
I do this as a, kind of a hobby right now. And we have had 70 plus episodes so far. The absolutely lovely part about this is that I totally like talking to people, interacting with people, hearing their experiences. Somebody asked in a podcast, Venkat, why are you doing this? This is so boring, listening to talking to people. Maybe the editing is boring, but listening to the people and hearing their experiences, different perspectives. I have spoken to people who are in totally different sides of the spectrum. Maybe I wanted to call them in a single podcast and ask them to argue or something like that.
That would be fun.
Things that I learned that's quite interesting. Thank you so much for appearing in the podcast. I wish you all the best in your life and whatever you are
Thank you.
aspiring to do.
Lovely speaking to you.
Take care and bye bye.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
That was a wonderful podcast with Sneha Surti. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.